kick us off then.
Took some winning that Paul. Few grey hairs after that.
Yeah, I've aged a few years, I think. Yeah, but yeah, obviously, pleased that we've got the win. But I've just said to the team though that we've got to learn some lessons because that result could very easily, maybe, should have gone the other way. There's arguments either way really there, but it's always a lot easier when you can learn tough lessons with the 2 points in the bag. So we're pleased about that. But yeah, there's certain areas of our game that that we need to improve on. And the lads in the dressing room, they've identified those areas already. There's a lot of smart rugby players in there who know what the game looks like and know what we look like at our best. So I'm confident we will make those improvements. But the overriding emotion now at this moment in time is just relief. That we've come and got the win.
Fans had to put a lot of effort in, but there was like a lack of composure at times in the first half and even at the end towards the drop goals.
Yeah, and that's what that's one of the areas that we need to improve, which is, I find that quite difficult as a coach sometimes because we've been in those situations before, most notably earlier on in the season, away at Penrith and dealt with it, much better than we did tonight. So we've shown in those pressure environments that we can do it, but for some reason tonight we just made it really difficult for ourselves. So it's a learn, and again, something that we can look at and try and improve on.
Starting to the second half, that first 20 minutes in particular, you seem to have put right a lot of things that perhaps were going wrong in that first half, particularly building pressure. Yeah, building pressure.
We're making too many mistakes. That's the bottom of it all, and we need to eradicate those from our game as quickly as possible. I know that teams will make errors, but what we're doing is going error, and just putting ourselves under far too much pressure. But I agree with you in that first 20 minutes. After half time, when we held the ball and Curtis Sirenin got his try, we looked like we were in the ascendancy, and again put ourselves under pressure.
I mean, some big players and some new players come up with some big players there at the end. Conrad Orrell as well taking that ball, probably a match winner, really, isn't it?
Yeah, a huge play. I look at Ignatius Parsi working his way back on the inside when he just gets a hand to a ball that Sangare, fumbles. A huge moment in the game as well. So when games are tight like that, and like they often are at the back end of the year, those games are littered with small moments that may seem like not really important at the time, but can go a long way to having a bearing on the outcome. So there's a couple of those instances for us tonight that where some individuals have come up with big plays.
How important was the win? If you look at the league table, even league turning Warrington over tonight, it's going to be hard getting into that top six, isn't it, this year?
Yeah, it is. I mean, and the most pleasing thing about the win is that we're keeping pace with us, and we've got to look to start to improve, but also string some victories together as well. So yeah, it's really tight, it's really competitive, and that's a challenge. So we can't get carried away with the fact that we've won the game. We just need to focus on improving as a team. But I am confident that we'll make those improvements, and I think you saw signs there tonight that when we do get it right, we're very tough to handle, but we need to just get it right on a more consistent basis.
With the drop goals, I mean, there was one, I think you had 3 in the bag and you still went for it even though you've miscued the pass. Is this just a learn that you've just got to perhaps keep your nerve a little bit more?
Yeah, I think that word composure that you mentioned earlier, Mike, I think that's where we've got to be a little bit more composed. And Tommy Makinson, we tried one from 40 out. I'd have been much happier in that instance. Is kicking them into the corner, back in our defensive work, and then maybe being a bit more patient to get the ball in better field position. But that being said, when we did get in better field position, we didn't quite handle that as well as we normally have done in the past. So the word I keep mentioning is learn. We've got to improve.
Joey out there for a lot longer today, didn't he? He looked sharp as well.
He did, yeah, and I thought he was doing a really good job in the game, and that's the reason I left him out today. He was kicking the ball well out of 9, although one of them went a bit long, but that can happen. He was working hard in D and say look sharp, and I challenged him to use his running game whenever he can. So I didn't really see any real need to make that change with having Rose back out on the field at the time.
It was very nearly a draw, wasn't it? Even in Golden Point. I mean, it was just one of those games that seemed to be destined for that.
Yeah, it was, and it was frantic. And if I'm totally honest, I think probably Leeds are a little bit unfortunate that they didn't get something from the game, I've got to pay them huge credit there tonight. You know, the players were dropping like 9 pins at one point. Their interchange was all messed up, and but what they showed is a real competitiveness as a group, and made us work to obviously the very last seconds to get that victory. So I'm sure that despite the loss, I'm sure that Rowan probably very proud of his players and the way they performed, and they were certainly obviously a very challenging and competitive team for us to go up against tonight.
There was a running battle of verbals all through the night that finally spilled over at the end. It shows the feeling between these two teams, doesn't it? Yeah,
there's always a bit of emotion in Saints Leeds games. I think it stems from the fact that we've contested a lot of big games with each other in the recent history, and I love that. But that's what makes sport great. That's what makes for a wonderful occasion like tonight. And I'm sure people, whether you're in the ground tonight or sat at home, you can see that there's two committed teams giving absolutely everything in terms of effort and energy to try and win a game. In terms of quality, it probably wasn't where it needed to be, but sometimes games, and tight games in particular, can bring that out in teams.
Come through okay, isn't
like Johnny's a bit busted. He's got a bit of a bang on his hand and a bit of a knee, something with his knee. But the early signs are there's nothing really serious there. But as we know in this game, you can get 24 hours down the track and things start to flare up. So we'll assess the guys at recovery tomorrow and see where they're at. But I'm hopeful that we've come through pretty healthy.
What do you think it is, Paul, that brings out the best in Saints? Going back to when you played, it's been some unbelievable contests, hasn't it?
Yeah, I don't know as about this fixture. I think I know there's a real well, it was close to hatred. I don't like the word hatred, but back in the day when I played, and I think when you have two teams very similar in terms of competitiveness, in terms of will to win, both want the same thing, then I suppose it's like two brothers fighting in the backyard. They want to get one over the other. So I think that's what you see in games like this tonight. I love these types of occasions. I love coming to Headingley. I always have done. It's a great place to come and play rugby. And it's always a huge challenge. So in that sense, that's why I'm so pleased we've come away with a win.